In Tritones, what we look at is how to play a skeleton chord in the left hand with a chord in the right hand. A typical sound would be this. That's the left hand chord shape, but it's a skeleton chord. You can see it has the 3rd degree of the C scale and the flat 7th degree of the C scale. So you play the 3 and the flat 7, and that gives you the semblance of a C7 chord. What some of the gospel players are doing now, they're actually playing a triad one step above. So one step above C is D. So I play my C with my chord shape, and then I play a D beside it. So you get E, flat B, and then a D triad. And you get now, as in lots of jazz movements, you don't want to do big chunky movements. With a C shape, I did a 3rd and a flat 7. If I wanted to do the G shape, I'd have to go the 3rd and the flat 7. But as we know with lots of jazz movements and economy of movement, I can take the F, which is the 7 and the G, and I can take it down to here. So nicely I can move from the C shape to the G shape by just doing this. So that's just something as a tangent about moving with economy. The idea still is to use the 3rd of the G and the flat 7 of the G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 flat, take it down. So it's still the same idea of using the 3rd and the flat 7, either the nearest one to you to get that chunky sound. So let's see how it sounds in G, and then do an A triad. Now you'll notice that this time, because I didn't do, if I did the G shape as normal, then I do my A triad. But if I wanted to get a thick close sound, I'd choose my close variation of G, and I'd choose my close variation of A. So these are the triad, this is a standard triad shape. The standard triad shape says that you can use the 7th shape on the left hand, which basically is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there are 6 notes between all of my left hand shapes. There are 6 notes between. And one of the first positions in this chord, they call it upper structures. One of the first movements is chord one step above. So I'll just do that first of all. Let's do an F1. G. E flat. D flat. You notice something very interesting now, that with the D flat shape, I use the same notes as I used for my G shape, and it still worked. Here's my G shape, and for my D flat, why does that work? Here's my D flat, 1, 2, 3, that's my 3rd, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, flat 7. So can you see I found the same notes? So I discovered just by accident that D flat is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 notes away from G. So all of a sudden I have if my brain was clever enough, I could have another whole layer of music I could play using the relative 6th away from where I was. So here's D. Now if I use my bass for D flat, it doesn't work because this is asking for a different chord. It wants that chord beside it. Okay, so let's just recap what we've said. We've said that the first tritone position is the chord skeleton in the left hand, with the right hand playing a chord that corresponds to one above. So if I'm in C, my right hand's going to play D. Here's my C shape. So my right hand must play a D chord. And this can move around. Okay, let's go to a few different places again. We said D flat, E flat. Each time you realise I'm playing the chord one whole note above. If I'm playing the E chord, so because it's E, I have to go 1, 2, and I'm playing that chord in the right hand. So that's the first shape. Another shape, which is like a good ending of a song shape, is the right hand plays a flat 6 chord. Here's my chord again, my left hand shape. Now instead of playing the 2 chord, I play a flat 6 chord. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat. So now I'm going to play the same root in the left hand, this time a flat 6 chord, which is an A flat chord. And you might think, how does that sound with a C chord? Listen to it.
Are you going to be gone in 1 hour?
No, we'll still be here.
I want to say goodbye before you go.
Okay, so that's another shape. And it's a flat 6 shape. So if you wanted to practice now, you could practice moving around in that shape. So F, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat. So use my F chord. And use my flat 6 chord beside it. So what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to feel for the only way I can understand at the moment is you try to feel for the big steps in the song. So if I'm playing, I come to the garden alone. I come to the garden alone. When you get to lone is a big step. It's a pause step or a held position. So I might do this. I might say, I'm playing in B flat. I come to the garden alone. Then I say, right, where am I on that position? Lone. I'm still in part of my B flat shape. When I get to there, I realise I'm still in B flat. Therefore, if I'm in B flat, we said we can use the tritone shape one note below. What's one note below? It's A flat. What's my A flat shape? Sorry. So how does that sound to put this shape with a B flat chord? What have I done? My B flat shape, my A flat, and then I've done a B flat chord. So I'll do the right hand by itself. Do the left hand. So let's say it together now. And then it's for the musicians to decide where to go then. But if you want to the next big step, that might be another big step. So go to the next big step. But because you don't want to do the same chord all the time, it's still in B flat, isn't it? There's something else you can do now. Instead of always using the one just below it, we can cheat now. We can say, can I find any chord where this note appears? And then use that tritone. Yes, we can. For example, this chord, this note appears in this chord. So why can't I cheat? When I come to that note, place it within an E flat chord, and then use that tritone. So, while the dew is still on the roses. But then you might want to change how you end, because the tritone chords suggest different endings. So for now, I'm just focusing on my anchor chords. So review. I come to the garden while the dew is still on the rose. Like we said, that was the same chord. Sounded a bit boring using your best chords twice. So let's do it again with an alternative chord. Instead of using the B flat, use an E flat. And E flat would let me use that tritone. Let's try again now. I come to the garden. So that's just one example of using the tritones in a pure shape of tritone, one above, and then we decided to do tritone. And the second idea we could use was, we said flat and 6. But then the slightly more adventurous idea we came across just then when we did this. We simply said, which note do I want to play? What chord can I place it within? Then which tritone belongs to that? And if you start thinking like that, it gives you a much more broader breadth of chord choices. So position 1. Flat 6 position. The flat 6 position. But then look at the alternative positions, like any chord with its relative. If you just listen to that on a keyboard sound, you might get something like this. For example, this is the electric piano 1 on the Yamaha. So we haven't done the finishing yet, we haven't decided how to finish, how to come back and what to come back to. We simply worked on the big steps in a song. For the last time, I come to the garden. So we're not memorising chord shapes in random, we're simply saying, what does this belong to? We did a B flat shape. If you do a B flat shape, the tritone was 1 below it, A flat. So we did an A flat and its corresponding tritone. That's all we did. And that was made up of 3rd and flat 7th in the closest position possible. So just using those two ideas, it can start to give you a bigger range of chord choices. It's not a very, very tight formula, it's quite an expandable formula. And good luck. And what I tried to do, which in fact was hard, I tried to do this, because how do you learn? Do, 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 do.
Yeah.
But that didn't make sense to me. So I simply did it chromatically.
Okay.
So this is what I did. Something to help me to learn the tritones in the basic left-hand tritone, right-hand one triad above. That's this shape. Something just to get you started is to learn your triad shapes. So we just practice like that. Okay. But gradually we realise that the chords start to go very high up, and we want it to stay chunky and low to give us lots of room for our right-hand chords. So sometimes you have to move the chords down. So instead of going to G, take this down, take it down, So practice now going from C to G. Very, very close vicinity. And those are standard jazz moves that the old guys used to do to move big steps in small spaces. So if I wanted to do 1, 3, 4. Okay, so let's do it together now. 1, 3, 4. And let's put the chords beside it. So I'm going to do 1 with a chord above it, with a chord above it, with a chord above it. But listen to the track, listen to the shapes. To do this, they simply want to do this and let the bass player do that in his formation, so they might leave those all together out and simply go, and that leaves room for the bass to interpret it and pick up the ideas of what roots we're using. So chromatically again, so we could actually use chromatic steps for the whole thing. Triad, triad. So let's just move them all up together. Where am I doing? And you wouldn't want to go much higher than that. Let's start again if you wanted to go from C. So then, let's practice something slightly more random. Pick a name of a root. Just say A flat, A flat,
Okay.
D flat. So pick a name for a root. E flat. Sorry. I'm doing the wrong chords. Straight away I'm going to do that shape. I'm going to do one above it, that chord. So E flat becomes A flat. Let's do E natural, D natural, D natural. So you can hear that. We'll do it one more time without doing the bass again. Let's do E flat, A natural, A natural. Sometimes that helps me to work out the shape I'm going to play. I can't remember that. Yeah, so my A flat. D natural. Sorry, D flat. And then some people start to play with these. And when you move these around, it gives you more scope for. And then thinking of big finishes. So don't just be locked onto the chord position, but think, what are these suggesting to me, and see where this takes you. So for any note, you can find its chord, its fourth chord, and its flat sixth chord. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat. Okay, so its chord, its fourth, and its flat sixth. So we can do this. Another place for this note could be as belonging to E flat. If it belonged to E flat, it gives us a D flat tritone shape. So listen to the three choices of how to phrase or voice a G note in a tritone style. We said one was this, or without the dissonance. We said we could use a C shape for my note, or an E flat shape. Let's do the three phrases without any speaking in between. G shape, C shape, E flat shape. each time we use the bass note to let you know what root you're in, we'll do that. Each time I'm working on a G sound. So my first G sound, and I'll stop talking there. Now, I'm going to this time sing so that you can recognise I'm still doing the G. La. So I'm going to do La through the whole of the cycle. La. So I was pure to the G, but I had three very, very different sound choices. Two phases, two places in the hymn where we could do a tritone shape. I come to the garden alone. So I'm playing in B flat. So we said one place where we could do a tritone sign was in the first pause in the song. I come to the garden alone. In that position we saw it belonged to F, it belonged to B flat. If it belonged to B flat, that was our tritone shape, our tritone root. So we could get this sound. I come to the garden alone. Could be quite nice. While the dew is still on the rose. B flat again. Rose. Now we realise we're using the same shape for everything. If you find yourself on the same note several times, you don't want to be using the same tritone shape for this one, because your song quickly loses its vitality. That's why we need to find out how can we alternatively voice the same note. We found that from our earlier study that this note can be rooted within an E flat chord. So, I come to the garden while the dew is still on the rose. Yeah, how different that could be? And I'm still pure to the sound. Roses. A lot of what modern playing does is takes you away from the root and you start to rework the whole song to fit your chords in. What I'm trying to do is stay pure to the roots of the song, to the melody, but let you alternatively voice it. So we did this. I come to the garden alone. We said that note belonged to the chord. If it did, we could use that root for our tritone. That root was here, and it came from this. How do we get that? We did this. 1, 2, 3. That's the first one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, flat. We took the flat down to here to make it tight. So just to recap, we did this. And then we said it was too repetitive, the same chord twice. Second time round we use an E flat chord. So we did the second time round. So I want to leave you with that today, recognising that for any one note, I've been able to find at least 3 uses of that chord. And these are the summary of those 3 shapes. First is the root, second is the fourth, second is the flat 6. And let me show you where those are. The root, the fourth, the flat 6th. So here am I, the root, the fourth, the flat 6th. In each case I was pure to my G, but that gave me 3 choices of tritone shapes. This one would go with that shape. If I was using my fourth is a C. Still doing that. If I was using my flat 6, which is an E flat, then that's my tritone root. So I want to go away and practice, first of all doing these. And then if you have a bass player to play with you, leave the bass alone and just do these. But remember what you're playing. This is my C, my D flat, my D, my E flat. So learn the shapes for the chord you're in, and then learn the respective chords. So if I'm in C, I'm going to, for the time being, be always doing a D chord. If I'm in G, I'm always going to be doing an A chord. So the practice would be to find the position and find the chord that goes with it. Find the position and find the chord that goes with it. Find the position and find the chord that goes with it. Find the position and find the chord that goes with it. And that gives me the choice then to say, when I find a note in a song, what can I do with it? I can do its root, I can do its fourth, and I can do its flat six. Where am I here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat is B. Okay? So my B shape is here. I'm losing my shape in that.